There's a lot of heavy lifting I need to do, including taking the body off the chassis and putting it on a body cart, as well as putting it back, and taking the engine and putting it on an engine stand. And I need to do this in a very controlled manner. As well as, I don't want it to cost that much money. So let me ask you a question. What would Chris Hemsworth do?
Yeah!
Chris Hemsworth would build a dirt cheap gantry crane. For the gantry crane, you're going to need a few things. 4 heavy-duty casters, about $75 worth of lumber, a chain hoist, a lifting strap or chain, and if your crane is going to be outside, I suggest a stain or an exterior paint. Here's my list, and as you can see, it comes up to a total of $236.83, which would be about the same price as a good engine hoist alone. The basic design is I'm going to have the top beam lying on the vertical post, which will be lying on the bottom beams, then rolling on the casters. And I'm going to be using 8-foot lengths whenever possible to save on the assembly time. The top beam is shaped like an I-beam, where I'll have the 2x6x8s on the top and bottom with a 2x10x8 in the middle. The top 2x6 is going to have a hole in the very center where I can fit my lifting strap through. My vertical posts are going to be a 2x6x8 on the outside with a 2x4 on both sides, with where it'll actually be a little bit longer than the 2x6x8 because it needs to reach the bottom of the bottom beams, as you can see here in my drawing for the bottom beams. The bottom beams are going to be shaped with the 2x4 lying parallel to the ground, my bad, with a 2x8x8 lying perpendicular to that 2x4. Then I'm going to have an extra piece of 2x4 on the corners for some added stability. My cross braces are going to be 2x4s cut to whatever length necessary. The top cross braces, I'm going to have 4, one on both sides of the crane. My bottom pieces I'm also going to have 4 of, but it's going to be attached to the vertical posts, cut also to whatever length is necessary. The main load-bearing components sit directly on top of each other so that the fasteners don't have to carry any of the load. This small daughter 2x4 temporarily stabilizes the joint. These 2x4x10s permanently stabilize the vertical posts in the joint with the bottom beam. They have to be cut to length. Using 2 screw guns, one for pre-drilling and one for driving, saves a lot of time and prevents the lumber from splitting. The end pieces are needed to distribute the load onto the casters. Once I assembled the legs, I turned them onto their sides so I could assemble the top beam. There. You'll notice that I have temporary diagonal braces in place. small 2x6 is permanent. It is needed to brace the top beam and to prevent it from folding over and then collapsing under a load. The diagonal bracing in my design is robust enough to handle any conceivable loads during a lift. But remember kids, safety first. All 4 casters must be locked before you lift, and you must move the crane gently and only when it's unloaded. The crane has very little bracing against torque or twisting force on the vertical posts. So, if you unlock the casters, then take one leg and start to turn it, you can easily break the joint where the vertical post meets the top beam. And having your eyes squished out of your skull by a falling load is a terrible way to die! As you can see here, the 2 ends of my strap are pulling in different directions on my shackle, which is called cross-loading, and technically you're not supposed to do that. However, because the strap and the shackle have a weight limit of about 3 tons, and I'm only going to be lifting at about a half a ton max, I don't need to worry, and I'm well within the safety margin. Girl power! You'll notice that the spray pattern on my airless has gaps or fingers. That's because I need a new spray tip. The trigger was also leaking all over me, so I need to rebuild the gun. Straps are normally actually much stronger than chain and much cheaper. The problem is UV rays that come off the sun actually damage them and end up breaking them down over time, so you can't leave them outside for too long. There's a lot of different knots you can use when tying rope and webbing together. I'm going to be using monkey's paw, which is a great knot for tying 2 ends of rope together because it doesn't actually tighten up under a load, and that makes it so it's easy to undo once you're finished. So you're going to take one side, rest it over the other, tie a simple knot around the other one, making sure you have about 6 inches of a tail or as rock climbers would say, a bight, B-I-G-H-T. Then, as you can see here, you can slide this around. Because of that, you will take the other end, tie another simple knot around it, making sure to also have about 6 inches of a bight. Then, see that there? Once you're done, it's nice and easy, and you can just untie. The first thing you need to do to be able to remove the body off the chassis is remove the gas tank, which, as you can see, I've already done here. Next, what you need to do is remove the line from the brake fluid reservoir, then remove all the wires running to your master cylinder, as well as removing your steering column from the chassis. You also need to remove the speedometer cable, which you can do from here. There are 11 bolts on holding the floor pans to the heater channels underneath here. And on the driver's side, I do need to remove them. However, on the passenger side, I don't need to bother because it's already so rusted that it'll just fall apart. There are also 4 bolts in here, here, and there, as well as 2 big bolts here and here that probably also do connect to the chassis that I need to remove, as well as a bolt here, as well as one on the other side. There's also 2 bolts here and here. Yeah. Fun. In my case, since I'm not going to be keeping the heater channels, if I break the head off the bolt, I won't be a problem because it'll just end up falling off anyway. Before I take the body off the chassis, I need to weld in some braces across the door opening here and here. Otherwise, it would deform or bend at these roof posts. On the driver's side, it's a little bit redundant until I remove the heater channels, which I will be doing soon, so I'm going to do it anyway. On the passenger side, it is not, because as you can see here, the heater channel isn't connected enough where I can trust it, so I'm going to be taking my angle iron and welding it. Once you start lifting the body, one word of caution. Go very slowly and watch for wiring or anything that you may need to cut clear. Girl power. Now that I have Jujubee up in the air, I can see where I want to put the mounts for my body cart. One right here, as well as the same place on the other side. And also on these 2 points right here. The rear mounting points are the widest at 3 foot 5.5 inches. And so that's going to be how wide my cart is. The cart's also going to be 8 feet long exactly. That was perfect. See, the cart now has the full weight of the body. Let me show you the mounting points. Here and here. I'm going to put a lag bolt in each of these mounting points, and then we're all set. See you next time, kids, on Hannah's Bug. Girl power! As always, this show is filmed in front of a live studio audience.